What's up, everybody? This is Kevin Olusola from Pentatonix. I'm so excited to be on Rebuilding the Beast, and we're going to be talking about a lot of topics. Being Nigerian, what's it mean to pursue your dreams? What's it mean to be extraordinary and uncommon in everything that you do? Stay tuned.
Welcome to Rebuilding the Beast. On this show, we are going to have so many transformative stories, evolution stories, comeback stories. I hope you can take the tips from all these stories and apply it to your life as well. This podcast is about using your life as a masterclass. You'll tell the story of what you overcame, and that itself will be someone else's survival guide. Welcome to Rebuilding the Beast. What's up, Sticks? What's up, Sticks? Oh, at the camera. So, I was pointing to him. I wanted him to know that it was time for action. Action.
No, you got scene number. We're building the beast. Scene 69.
We're building the beast. This is episode. I don't know.
69,
but
take one.
69? I think it's more than that. But episode 69. 69.
Hey, that's how I do.
Action. I got in trouble for smashing that hard.
I just found out about soft sticks
When you do it in
things.
front of somebody's face, you say soft sticks. But if
God.
you're over here, you
I look, you want to add this part of this whole thing with.
I mean, you recorded the whole thing, so it's on there.
We always take it out. Yo,
what's up?
Thank you so much
Dude,
for joining the
day.
podcast, dude. This is one of the ones that I'm super excited about because I'm talking to my Nigerian brother.
Hey, all day, man, all day.
I brought up Alpha Sports is a Nigerian brand.
I don't actually know this.
Okay, so it's almost like our FUBU. I can't remember what the thing is stands for. Alpha is like something like for all of us, all for Africa or something.
Nuts. Okay.
Alpha Sports. Got you.
They should do a collaboration with Actively Black. Do you know Actively Black?
Yeah.
They should do a collaboration because Actively Black just did something for the Nigerian Olympics. I feel like they
did?
I want to say they designed the Nigerian team's
The kids?
clothes or something like that.
I'm gonna
It's
look it
something
up.
no, look it up because that's legit. I want to say it was for the Olympics or something like that, and they did a collaboration with Nigeria for that.
Ugo, if you're listening, yo, we got to get this collaboration with Actively Black. Alpha
legit.
Sports and Actively Black.
Yeah, I mean, I love that brand. I mean, like, what I'm seeing right now, I love that. I feel like, oh my gosh, just for the culture, all day. Like,
Speaking of the culture.
yeah.
Speaking of the culture.
What
I
you
cannot
got?
wait
What
to
you
get
got?
to this question.
Okay, let's go. What do you got?
So, you're Nigerian.
Half.
Half Nigerian.
Yeah, sorry, whoa. Yeah, no, half. My dad's from Nigeria and my mom's from Grenada in the Caribbean.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The Nigerian part of you
Yeah.
was okay with you leaving your track to medical school. This is the part of the story that I've been trying to, because when I heard you tell this story in the concert the other day, I mean, I know the story, but in my brain, there is a lot of empathy because
Yeah.
I've had to have this conversation with my family.
Absolutely.
So guys, if you're Nigerian, you have 3 paths.
Yes.
Doctor,
lawyer, engineer. That's all you got.
And
That's
so,
literally all.
For me to go play basketball in my career, I had to have a serious sit down with my family. Like a round table with my grandparents, my parents, my uncle, who I was living with at the time. And this is what I want to do. I want to take this seriously. I want to put all my all in. And if I have to put all my all in, I can't go to med school.
Right. No, completely.
And they're like, are you sure?
Exactly.
My mom asked me 2 weeks ago if I want to go back to med school. Well, since basketball is done now, do you want to go back to med school?
Dog, I've had that happen even when my career was going well. Literally, so my band Pentatonix, we win our 2nd Grammy. As we win the 2nd Grammy, we're on the...
Life flex.
It's awesome. I'm excited about that. But we won our 2nd Grammy, and then I'm literally on stage with Stevie Wonder. We're singing That's the Way of the World for Earth, Wind, and Fire. Immediately after we're done, we give Ed Sheeran his Grammy for Song of the Year, Thinking Out Loud, right? That's his first Grammy ever. I mean, a massive moment for us and for him. I literally sit back down with my dad, who I'm sitting next to, and he goes, hey, congratulations on your Grammy. When are you going back to medical school? And I'm like, did you not just see what just happened? Literally, Stevie, like the GOAT. And he was like, no, I'm joking. You're fine. I love you. Congratulations, like all that stuff. But I was like, he's never gonna let up because it's just.
He brought that up just to see where your mind was at, right? He wasn't really joking, but he was like,
yeah, he's like, are you gonna?
Just like,
Literally that. But I will say this: he is happy though because he has one pharmacist and one of my brother is he's in residency now.
Oh,
so he still
so
has.
They got their doctor.
Exactly. So they're good. They got the doctor. They got the pharmacist. They got people in the medical field. So like you have fun. Like go
and play.
Exactly.
Go and play.
My uncle he always said go in with your mushy mushy. He calls it mushy mushy. He just called it mushy mushy, and I'm like, okay, have fun. I mean, whatever. But I love it. So I definitely understand the sentiment. Like what you went through, what I definitely went through. But at the same time, I feel like there is a new generation of Nigerians, especially the ones that are in the United States, who are realizing that there are more ways to build entrepreneurship, business, make money than just the traditional paths.
But I actually definitely agree with that. And being in America, it's much easier to do
Completely.
Coming from Nigeria as an immigrant.
100%.
But this is an immigrant mentality.
Yes.
Because I have friends who are Persian. We have had this conversation as well, where it's like they come here with that idea of getting a profession that is indispensable.
Yes, 100%.
Right? And so you can't get rid of a doctor. Right?
Yeah.
You have as an immigrant, you have to make sure you're solid when you get here.
100%.
So that's the whole point. And man, you sure did make the right decision though.
Well, I have to say it like this. Whether I made the right decision or not, I can't even say that. But what I will say is that I feel like this was the decision God had for me. And at the end of the day, that's what I knew I had to follow. And so if in that way, I would say it was the right decision. It wasn't my decision. I didn't want to do this. I actually wanted to go into medicine. Like if you don't know my story, I grew up in Kentucky. I grew up playing classical music, piano, saxophone, cello, all classically trained in those. I loved it, but once again, like you said, I always thought I was going to be a doctor. That's what my parents had to kind of, I won't say groomed me to do, but I saw them and I loved what it was. I loved being able to help people. I thought it was fun. I thought I loved the pursuit of academia. So I went to boarding school at Andover, Phillips Academy, Andover, Massachusetts. I went to Yale for undergrad. Always thinking I was going to go into medicine. I majored in East Asian studies because I thought that was just fun to do. I loved things about China, Chinese. But I always was going to be on this medical field path. But what happened was a few things in my junior year of college. One, Yo-Yo Ma had this collaborate and celebrate with Yo-Yo Ma competition that happened online. And if you win, you get to do a collaboration with him. So I didn't win this thing, but I did get second place. And he said that my music was inventive and unexpected. And so that was the first inkling that, maybe I can do something with music that's a little bit different than others would say.
What was your music at the time?
My music was just me playing cello and also beatboxing at the same time. So I developed this way of playing called cello boxing, where I play cello and beatbox simultaneously. And it's really tough. It's really tough to do.
Really? It's
tough.
Really tough?
It's tough.
I feel like when I watch you, that you're doing this and you're patting your head and rubbing your stomach at the same time.
When I was starting it, that's exactly how I felt. It didn't make any sense. I remember the way I got introduced to it was living in China. I was in Beijing and I'm in my Chinese class, and my Chinese teacher asked me, I'm going to say this in Chinese, 你有没有想过把拉大提琴和表演口技融合在一起? Which means, have you ever thought about taking the cello and beatboxing and putting it together?
Wow.
And I'm like, no, who thinks of that? Oh yeah, I'm just going to randomly wake up one day and beatbox and play cello at the same time. Wow, also, this whole idea of taking classical music and possibly tarnishing it by this hip hop beat.
Which is crazy that your teacher is the one that kind of pushed you in that direction. Like, yo, this is, because usually they're like, no, they're the ones that say you're tarnishing it.
Completely. Well, I mean, this was a Chinese teacher, so she didn't really have any musical background in that way. But I would beatbox all the time in class, and I would talk about the cello a ton in class. And she just asked me after class randomly one day, have you thought about putting the two together? And so that was my own kind of fear speaking. Will a whole genre of music and the people that are the gatekeepers think that what I'm doing is tarnishing this European sound? But at some point, I just kind of said, look, I love beatboxing. I love playing cello. Why not give it a shot?
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about trying to be a disruptor or anything. I just thought this looks like an interesting way to present myself. And so that's what I actually did as I was developing it for that Yo-Yo Ma competition. That did well. I also opened for KRS-One, who's one of the just grandfathers of hip hop. And he said, the way you play cello and beatbox, I feel like you're going to change the way people look at hip hop and classical music. And that was a big statement because I got two people who are at the highest, at the top echelon of what they do on completely opposite sides of the spectrum musically telling me something similar.
But then like you've told me about the two people who are supporting you. And a lot of people, when they start something new and you're trying to be a pioneer, the part of the reasons why they don't exist, why other people didn't want to do it, is because there's a lot of resistance.
Oh my gosh.
Did you have resistance? Is there any risk in trying to mix cello and beatboxing?
You know what? I would say there was a lot of internal resistance. More because I didn't know if I could actually do it. It's it's so doggone tough to do. Wow. So I'd say the internal resistance was the hardest thing for me to get over. Because I feel like once you get over fear and your own mind, truly, it doesn't matter who's going to say anything, nothing is going to stop you. I remember though, I played this for my I played this for my cello teacher at Yale. And he asked me to do what I did, this cello boxing thing, for our studio. So a cello studio is basically a group of students under a professor, a cello professor. I played it for them. Half of them were like, this is unbelievably cool. This is fire. The other half said, I cannot believe what I'm seeing. I cannot believe what I'm hearing. This is disgraceful, if you will.
Oh, wow.
And but I will say this is how I knew I had something interesting, because it's like what Jay-Z says, like, art is meant to be polarizing. You need to be able to make a statement about art. If you're not, then you're making something that everybody can listen to, but it's not, there's no intrigue, if you will, in that way. So to know that I had polarizing views about my music made me know that I was actually on the right path, and I had to keep going. And, you know, the rest kind of led to the one thing after the other, and you know, this is where I am now in my career with the band. So
I saw the progressions too, right? Even during your show, you show us the progression of how you were learning to beatbox to the level that you are now. So you start off and it's hard.
Yeah.
And you're trying to play. Did you ever make mistakes?
Dude, that's my whole career. Like, my whole career is failure until I finally get it right.
That's why we're here.
That's why we're here.
The building process after 100%. The failures, because for me, I think a lot of people, the thing that stops them is the failure. Right. But when they see a success like yours, they're like, oh, well, the path was laid. No, like, I failed and I kept going.
That is I feel like people need to get out of their head the idea of failure being a bad thing. If you allow that to be your marker of how success is going to be, that you didn't fail, you actually always succeeded, then you're never going to be able to get through the barriers and the thresholds that are necessary for you to actually achieve something great. And so that's why my whole focus was, let me take failure out of the context of something bad and negative and give it something positive. This is experiments. I call it more experiments than failure. Because when you're thinking about experiments, you know that you're going towards a certain goal. And that's maybe the pre-med of me talking about that. I just think of it as experiments. What is working, what's not? Keep doing it. R&D, A&R, just keep doing it until you find that thing that actually works for you. So yeah, when I started off, I just started very simple. Simple beats, simple scales, went to more complicated beats, complicated scales, then to grooves that I would do for friends who were rapping on campus. And then I just continued doing it until I could finally do a piece like the piece that went viral online, which is called Julio. It's a cello piece by a guy named Mark Summer, who's part of the Turtle Island String Quartet. And this piece, this is a contemporary cello piece that has so much swag that I didn't know if I could do it at the time. But once I had kind of had a lot of experiments that actually worked, it gave me the confidence to try to do this piece, right? And finally get to a place where, you know, I could do it. And granted, I think the people don't know about this viral video. You know, this is the viral video that got me into Pentatonix, and when it was everywhere, oh my gosh, like, I have all these opportunities. I worked on that piece for a full year. Damn. Just that piece. Wow. It wasn't something where I go, oh, 2 months and then I got it. And when I say worked it, I mean, I worked it practicing wise. I workshopped it in a lot of different places, and I saw the crowd's reaction. Okay, I saw that they didn't really love it here. Okay, I didn't see that they jumped here. Okay, now how can I tailor this to make sure that every single part they're intrigued, they're constantly looking. I just worked on it for a full year, and that's when my friend Jake Bruin said, when he heard it, he goes, have you ever thought about putting this online? And that's when I put it online. And then, I mean, I didn't make it go viral. I don't know how people do that, but all I knew is that the next day it was number think it was either number 2 or number 4 on Reddit. And it just started getting hundreds of thousands of views every single day. And granted, remember, this is 2010, 2011, when like those numbers really mean something on YouTube.
At the time, there was really no algorithm.
Exactly, there was no algorithm. It's just
whoever gravitates to your music.
Exactly. So that's why I'm like, people see so many success stories. I'm sure you in basketball, I mean, I'm sure the people that you've worked with, like Michael Jordan talks about it so much, right? Like maybe I thought I made you think that success was easy. What I didn't show you was that the many, many times that I failed.
This is the failures.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How many? Like that. It's the love of what you do and wanting to get better and show something that is divinely in you to show. That's what this is about. Like that's the love, that's the passion, that's the grit, that's what gets me up every single day to do this.
So I feel like the way that you've grown up in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
What was that like? Because I almost feel like when you grow up in the South like that, and you have 2 parents, one from the Caribbean, and the other one from Nigeria, I feel like growing up in Kentucky would make you different.
You know what?
Except I don't know much about Kentucky.
No. I get that completely, and that's fair. So, I actually felt like I had a very good childhood, and I think they also shielded me from a lot of the stuff that happened that was racist. There are things that they've told me about only now, or in the past 5 years that happened, that I had no idea.
That was happening?
Like, yeah, I was like, what? I didn't know that. Like, or somebody said that to you, or like, well, you got pulled over for that, and like, what? Like, things that because they completely shielded me. And I appreciate them for that, because I think now I try to take everything with a grain of salt, and also with let me see this for what I think, let me see it for what it is before I make any judgments on it. I think that's really, really, really important, because I feel like if we make a conclusion too soon, maybe I don't see that person's heart, maybe I don't see that person's idea or understanding of what it is, and then and I'm judging the situations too quickly. So I think I really appreciate them for that, for shielding me. I really did have a good childhood growing up in Kentucky. I had a lot of cello lessons, saxophone lessons, piano lessons. My sister and my brother were really, really close. We did so much orchestra, so much band. I just did so much music. It was so fun. There were times, though, I know that I wasn't shielded because they weren't there. I'll never forget. Oh man. So I was in the state orchestra, and I was first chair. This is my sophomore year. This Korean girl and I, Annette Chung, she and I are like close friends to this day. My freshman year, she was number 1 and I was number 2. She was a sophomore. And then my sophomore year, when she was a junior, I was number 1, she was number 2. But we were close friends. But there were 2 kids behind me I remember I was practicing my solo, and they're like, they only wanted you up here to up the quota. And I was like, no, I worked really hard to get this, and I'm really, really talented. I didn't say all that. I'm like, in my head, I just ignore it.
But like, that is.
I just ignore it.
But you're different though, right? Like, different in terms of like, that's special.
To just ignore it?
For a kid to come to you and say, hey, that they only brought you here because you're black. Quota? Yeah. And you're in your head, you say, no, I'm actually gifted. I actually work hard at this. I'm actually good at what I do. That is special.
I think, I'm curious what you think about this in terms of immigrant mentality.
Yeah,
my parents. Okay, yeah. No, I'm serious.
They tell you are the best.
Exactly. They tell you, and they're like, look, anything that you're going to experience, they're like, we've experienced worse. This is not an excuse for you to be the best that you can be. Let them say whatever you can be. Like, let them say whatever they want to say. You get to control how you react. Be the best. Let them say whatever oh my gosh. The amount of times like, oh, that's what my parents were always like, you have got to get into the top schools, because you don't want people are going to question you regardless. You don't give them an opportunity to question you. Don't you dare. Because you are capable of that. And I appreciate that for that, because I think in some ways, like, that furthers the narrative in a way that people, like, we're not one monolithic culture. We're so diverse. And we all have to move this narrative forward together. You know what I mean? Like, we have to. And I don't want to give anybody an opportunity to say, oh, because I saw this and I saw that, well, now they're all. No. We're not all. We are a beautiful culture that if you get, we are incredibly diverse, incredibly talented, and you do not get to give us our say of who we are. We are going to dictate that. Either stand back and watch or join us.
Hey, I respect that very much.
Like either or. That's why I'm excited to do classical music the way that I do. Like,
you're bringing new fans to classical music. You know that too, right?
Well, that's the hope.
When people see it this way, you know, like a lot of people have their ideas of what they think social media can be, or it's like it's evil, it's all these things, but it also brings all these different things, like whether it's stories from old, whether it's movies, whether it's like music, art, things that people usually would not have interacted with.
Right.
And this is you doing your job, putting it on social media, beatboxing and cello, like playing the cello at the same time. You talk about your parents protecting you. You actually reminded me of something. Actually, so when I was in Nigeria, I grew up, and now that I think about it, that wasn't normal, right? I grew up hearing gunshots and stuff all night. Right. And I remember a couple times, this is just my memory popping up right now. My dad would wake up in the middle of the night. He would hear gunshots, whatnot. He would go grab his gun. I'll be right back. And so for the next like hour, whatever, you hear pop, 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 pop. Right. And then like after an hour or so, he would come back, put his gun back, lay in bed. I was like, what just happened? But this is like my trauma brain sometimes because I forgot about this. Where you talk about your parents protecting you and shielding you. What kind of advice did they give you? You talked about them telling you that, you know, a very typical Nigerian parent thing to say. When I brought a report card home and I didn't have all A's. If I had a B plus. It didn't matter. Nope. The guy who got an A in that class, did he have two heads? And they always reminded me, and it was, they always reminded me that there is something special about you too. Like, don't ever think that somebody else is better. Completely. What was your own thing? What were some of the things that they told you that helped you have that kind of mentality, understanding that you are special?
That is so good. My mom, the number one phrase that I feel like continues to keep me going, she goes, be extraordinary and uncommon. Do not be ordinary. Always do extra so that you stand out from the crowd, whatever that is. That's why she's like, she was so proud of me. It's like, look, you're a black man that speaks Chinese, that plays classical music. This is the thing that's not supposed to be ordinary. We get an opportunity to shatter every single perception. And that, once again, moves the narrative forward. They were so particular about moving the narrative forward. So be extraordinary and common. Whatever you see is common, whatever you see everybody's doing, how do you flip that in a way where people go, I've never seen anything like that before. So I think that's also why, even though I had the fear with the cello boxing, like, oh, what are people going to think? Those are the kind of words that made me say, wait a second, let me at least start small. Let me at least start in a way that I feel like I can to even begin to crack this wall. So I think that's one of the first words I would say is really important to me. Be extraordinary and uncommon. Man, what else?
Be extraordinary and uncommon.
Yes, extraordinary and uncommon.
So you were like, all right, I'm gonna go learn Chinese.
Yeah,
I'm
100%.
gonna mix cello and beatboxing. I'm gonna go to Yale. I'm gonna do all the things. I'm gonna win Grammys. I'm gonna be all the things. You might as well go be a doctor now too. I'm saying, like, dude, your life is amazing, man. The things that you continue to accomplish, and seeing you guys the other day sell out the Hollywood Bowl.
Amen.
After a story like this, and you guys tell the story of how you all came together. Maybe tell that story as well from your perspective, because what I hear is there's this group of people, they're going to go perform at America's Got Talent.
Oh, the sing-off.
Sing-off,
the sing-off.
sorry.
Yeah, no, good.
They're going to go perform at the sing-off, and they see a guy on YouTube.
Yep.
We need a beatboxer. There's a guy on YouTube. We message this guy on YouTube. I don't know how to message people on YouTube, but they go message people on YouTube, message you on YouTube and say, hey, we need you to come. And you're like, yo, I'm at Yale right now. I actually have to take my finals. But I can join you guys, which you did, and you joined them a day before the competition. Take me through that, bro.
Yeah, man. Look, so exactly everything you said, I was literally, when I got the message, I didn't actually pay attention to it from Scott when he was DMing me on Facebook, because I had there were so many offers coming, but also I was just trying to finish my senior essay because I didn't think about it. I didn't focus on it. I had just gotten into music school. All these offers were coming. Like, so I finished my senior essay, and then I go check it out, and I go, do I even really want to do this? Is acapella something that I'm excited about? But regardless, I just said, you know what? Let me just send the audition tape. So I sent an audition tape of me beatboxing, and they said, "Oh, I'm so sorry about that. Hold on."
Good.
Cut that out.
No, this is a real podcast.
Yeah,
no,
you get everything. You get everything. So I I send the audition tape, and he says, "Yeah, this is great. Why don't you fly out the day before the audition?" Because I also know that's the only time that you have available. Because I was a summer counselor at Yale for Asian students, mainly like the Chinese and Japanese students, just because I had on my time that I had in Asia that they felt like I could help them adjust.
You're also like what was the other thing you did at the library?
Oh, book monitor.
Book monitor.
Yeah, at the Yale School of
all the things.
Yeah, at the Yale.
You just don't like free time or something?
No. I mean, you know what? It's so funny. I won't say it's full time, but the reason I chose these specific jobs. So I was a practice monitor at the practice rooms at the Yale School of Music, and I was also at the Yale Law Library book monitor. I took them because they were easy jobs. Like all you have to do is click, click. Okay, somebody's in here. Click, click. I could stay studying and make cash.
Okay.
That's why I did it. So I mean, yeah, I get lazy sometimes. Like that was my lazy work, but I had to study, man.
Oh,
so
that's awesome. Sorry, I keep taking you from the story.
All good. It's great.
I want to ask all the questions.
Literally ask every single question you want. So I fly the day before the audition to Los Angeles, California. Scott's a student at USC with his two best friends, Kirsty and Mitch, who he grew up with in Arlington, Texas. Okay. They did theater together. I want to say Scott and Mitch were in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory together. Like that's how far they go back. And so they did choirs together. They did theater together. Scott goes to USC. He wants to join acapella, finds out about it, thinks it's amazing. He finds out about the sing-off, asks his two best friends to join him. So they're joining him for this audition. So that's who I met. And then also the bass singer at the time, his name was Avi Kaplan. One of the producers knew him and said, "Hey, would you like to join this group of singers?" So we all met the day before the audition. And I'll never forget, we sang this song called Telephone, which we all had practiced separately. When we came together, we sang it. And for the first time, we were all like, wow. Like, this is uncanny that we sound this good. It's a diamond in the rough, but there's definitely a diamond here. And then we sang it at the USC SoCal Vocal House for some of the SoCal vocals who were living there for the summer. And they were like, we've never really heard a sound like this in acapella. And I'm thinking to myself, this is crazy. Like, I just met these kids. I literally just met them.
So y'all meet each other, and the thing is tomorrow.
Yeah, the thing is the next day.
But you performed that night at USC, is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, for some of the acapella people who were staying in the house, it was like 5 or 6 of them. Yeah. It's like, hey, just listen to us. Just can you give us feedback? They're all like, this is cool. Like, maybe don't rush, but other than that, you guys are doing well. Wow. And I don't think I really understood the gravity of the audition. There were like hundreds of acapella groups that were vying for 16 spots on the sing-off. So I don't think I really went in blind. I did not know what I was getting into.
Better though.
I was naive in a good way. I just I mean, if it works, great. If not, I'm gonna keep living my life. Exactly. I'm gonna go back. I'm chilling. So we go, and this is what actually people don't know. We do the audition. We do the audition in front of the panel of just Telephone. And I think one of the songs that we had prepared, I'm forgetting the name of it. And then they ask us on the spot, can you do another song? And I forgot what the song it was that they asked us to do.
Oh, off the cuff.
Off the cuff. And I'm like, we're an acapella group. We're not a jazz group that we can just all of a sudden. So literally we talk about it like for a minute, like how are we going to do this? And I'm like, look, I'll do this beat. Scott, maybe you do the melody, and then I was like, I can figure out the bass chords as we go along. So we do that, and then literally Kirsty and Mitch just kind of follow him. I think Scott listened back to the audition. He's like, it wasn't great, but I mean, like, we did what they asked. And then we immediately afterwards went to Olive Garden, being like, we did our best. Okay, here we go. And we're outside Olive Garden, and Scott gets a call saying, like, look, we're not supposed to tell you this, but you guys are going to be one of the 16 on the TV show. And he's like, oh, well, what do we do now? So we find out that we make it. We eat at Olive Garden. I go back to school. I have a month while I'm a summer session counselor for these Chinese and Japanese students. I go back to Texas where they're doing, just a little bit of like a story on us for the TV show. It's like, where are they coming from, the acapella group? And then we fly to Los Angeles, and I'm there for like 10 weeks to film until, if you get to the end of the sing-off for the finale, up until mid-September. So it's like, end of July to mid-September, I'm there. And then mid-September until end of November, we're off while the TV show goes on. And I actually had another gig with a group called Gunger. They're like a Christian worship band. I like toured with them while they were opening for this group called the Seven.
Oh, yeah. So you were working, yeah. So you said working. You had other things going on. I thought you meant school.
No. I just had other work going on.
Oh, wow.
So that job came because of the same video. And so like I was touring, and then I came back, and then I find out we win the TV show, and I'm like, this is crazy.
What?
Like, I'm like, this is my life now. And I'm telling you, like, it's one of those things where you sometimes just take opportunities that come and just see what happens, even if it doesn't feel like the right one. If
man.
it just doesn't
the Holy Spirit is coming over me right now.
Like,
man.
literally, like, you just, like, I could not have planned this. There is no part of me that could have willed this into fruition. There's nothing in me. Like I said, I didn't want to be a musician. But this is why I'm so thankful, because I feel like God had this plan set up in a way that I couldn't, and I had to just learn how to trust him. Literally, fully trust him. And I remember when we won, I said, God, I fully trust you now, because the timing of how all of this went down is not something I could have constructed on my own. I fully trust you. You do the rest. Jeez. And like everything that's happened since, like, I'm not saying that, you trust God and all this worldly success will happen, but I believe that he will direct your path. And you will be on a path that is by him. And that's the best shielding you could ever have in life.
People always say luck is opportunity meets preparation.
Yeah, completely.
And for me, when I see that, and people say like, Jesus take the wheel and things of that nature, I think that God gives you the opportunity, but it's on you to prepare. Woo! Right? Because you still had to learn. Yeah. You had to learn the craft.
Yeah.
You had to post it on YouTube.
100%.
And that was your preparation.
100%.
And then the opportunities came because they saw it.
100%.
This podcast has led to a new job for me. Yeah. And it's crazy to say it that way. And I hope people are listening, because people see the opportunities, but they don't realize that you have to be prepared.
Yeah.
And so like you watch a Steph Curry doing all the things he does, but you miss the fact that this dude was in the gym working when they told him he wasn't any good.
Right.
And so when you see the range and you see the skill came because of the doubt, and it was in that waiting period.
Yeah, that's
what
so
are you doing in your waiting period? And so that's what I think about even now, like all the time, man. I think about it all the time, bro. What are you doing in your waiting period? Bro. And so for me, how can I take advantage of it? And so all you're doing is confirming that thing that I say all the time. The rebuilding process is the most important, because when you're there and you're working on your craft, you can't see that you're going to be doing this. All you see 100%. Is, man, I really enjoy my craft.
Bro, that is so good. And what you're saying takes me back to David in the Bible, right? Like,
ooh,
think about this for a second, right? Yeah. Like, David is, he's 12, 13 years old. They tell him he's going to be king of Israel. Where does he go immediately back? He goes immediately back to being a shepherd, honing his craft. He's been honing his craft, being a shepherd for so long, to fight wolves, fight bears, all these people, fight lions or whatever. And then he gets this opportunity to fight Goliath, and he's like, I'm prepared for this. I have been doing this and been preparing myself for this, for such a time as this. And then he slays the giant, right? I just feel like we have to be continuously sharpening our axe so that when the time comes, like you said, we're ready. Like, I'm going to tell you a story, funny enough. What people don't know, while I was on the sing-off, I had gotten so much praise for my ability to beatbox. Mm-hmm. The truth is, I felt like I didn't know what I was doing.
What?
No. Let me explain this. I felt like I had rudimentary beatboxing skills when I got to the sing-off. But by the time I left, I felt like I was much more capable, because what people don't know is that every single morning, I'd get up at like 5:30 before we had to get there at 8 to the lot. I would be studying beatboxers and practicing because there's just so much I realized I didn't know. I knew how to do my beatbox cello thing, right? But I was never trying to be a professional beatboxer. I just thought that this combination was interesting. Now I have to make myself a professional beatboxer. Okay, I know I have the musicality, but I need the skill. Every morning I would just practice, listen, learn, try to understand. How can I expand my mind so that I can do the crazy things that I did on the show? It was just studying in the mornings, man. Like you have to meet the challenge with strength and fervor and an absolute belief that God wouldn't get you there to fail. Wow. So go. And once again, if we didn't win, at least I knew I did my best. But I'm so glad I took the time to do that because I wouldn't be the musician I was today, and I wouldn't have the foresight in every single situation to know that I can do this. Doesn't matter whatever odds I feel like are against me. I have just a belief in myself, and I feel like I only have the belief because I'm in the wheelhouse that God has given me. If you're not in the wheelhouse that you feel like God has given you, then you might be working on a path that like you continuously work on. But if that's not what was for you, like you're just spinning your wheels. I feel like this was for me, so that's why I was willing to put in whatever it took. So that's why, yeah, man.
I didn't know this was gonna turn into a sermon,
bro. I didn't either. I actually didn't either, man. So like y'all, I like look. It is what it is. You get what you get.
Dude.
You asked me out here, like.
Okay, so now let's take this story further because now when you're rolling like this and you're like, man, like I'm winning, I'm winning, and then you guys go on to win. You win the sing-off. Yeah. So now you guys are the winners of the NBC sing-off,
right?
And you get a deal with Sony,
right?
But then later on, the label drops you.
Yeesh. Yes. Oh,
they don't believe that an a cappella group can be a successful group.
Yeah, man. What's crazy is that so now you're competing with not just a cappella. Exactly.
Like
music.
Musicians everywhere.
Exactly. And there's no precedent for a cappella music to make it in the mainstream. I mean, yes, there are a few, right? You have Take 6, you have Manhattan Transfer, but they're few and far between. A real pop mainstream a cappella group that has charting hits and has Grammys and, like I said, few and far between. So they were like, look, are you guys thinking about putting music behind this? I'll never forget when they asked that question. We were like, literally, we just won a TV show for being a cappella. No. And they said, yeah, that's nice. That's cute. How about we just give you a kill free for the contract? Wow. We'll pay you X amount of money and we'll just let you on our way. It's like 30 days after we won the TV show. And this contract was promised to us. So up to immediately down, 100%. And I hope that's an encouragement to people who are listening. Like, you are going to get no's if what you're doing is uncommon, ridiculous. People don't understand what you're doing. People don't see how this is possible. But if you feel like this is for you, you just kind of keep going. And I'll say this, the one thing for us is that we were, like you said, very green and naive in the industry. We didn't know that, okay, we got dropped. We're literally new to this. So like, let's just keep going and have fun.
Excited about the cash.
We're like, yeah, like, give us the cash. Because we need cash to even move to Los Angeles, right? Like, you get $250,000 to move to Los Angeles. First thing, taxes. So cut that in half.
Oh, trust me.
Right? Yeah, you know, right? And then you split that 5 ways. We just had a manager. He gets his, you know what I mean? We barely had money to move here. So this was actually nice to get a kill fee to have a little bit more money to move here. We move here, and then we just start putting up stuff on YouTube. And at that time, I wasn't sure about that because I didn't know if there was a ceiling by being a YouTube star. But our manager said, look, the difference is that you guys came from a TV show. You guys have an opportunity to showcase this to more people.
Wow.
And you're coming from that.
Speaking to me right now, literally right now.
Why? Go ahead.
The opportunity to do a YouTube series of being a basketball player that plays for a team.
Right.
Retires, then is coming back, moving back to the city to work for the team. Like,
that's fire.
That's the series that people are talking about. Like, yo, let's do a series about this.
And
I was like, man, is that something that I want to invest my time in? And even as you're saying it right now, I was like, yo, people don't get to see that transition and see this new life and see me learning how to do this job, learning on the job.
Right.
So, wow, that's, please keep going.
No, well, I mean, first of all, I think you should do it because I think there's something about the personal connection that people will have with you. I mean, that's why you doing this podcast, people get to see sides of you that they may not see on the court, they may not see while you're sportscasting. Like, that's the thing that I think is, people want to know who's behind the person, and I'm excited. I'm excited for you to showcase the many colors of Festus. That is what I'm excited for. So if y'all don't watch this thing, y'all better DM him, Facebook message him, Instagram, TikTok him, tell him if you don't do this show, we coming after you, bro. And I will be DM #1. Thank you very much. I'm out.
And then thank you. That's every episode. Dog, if that's the only thing I got out of today, man, dude, that's incredible, man.
You should do it, man. And also, there's no thing about
downside.
There's no downside. There's literally none. But yeah, like that's like you're saying. Like we go on YouTube, we start putting videos up, things start to just kind of go viral, which we were excited about. Put out EPs, we would tour with fans. We did collaborations with people like Lindsey Sterling, who's an incredible violinist. We love this woman.
Amazing story.
Oh my gosh.
Amazing story. She is actually one of the inspirations for me. When I got injured a few years ago, I was going through whatever I was going through, and I said, I'm rebuilding the beast. And I started looking up people who had defied the odds.
Right.
And she was one of the people somebody sent me. They're like, yo, watch her story.
Dude.
And I was like, oh man, I know I'm uncommon, and I know I'm different. I know I got it. I got the ability to defeat whatever it is, whatever hole I'm in.
It's so cool, man. Like, what I love about Lindsey is that she's not, you can't define her by the classical box. You can't define her by like the dubstep. Like, she's just kind of her own thing. And that is what's exciting to me. And like, Lindsey, I love you, girl. If you listen to this, keep it going. And you also such a close friend. So just, girl, you light up my life. You are the best at what you do. Keep at it. Yeah, we just did more collaborations with people like her. And, what really happened though, like as we were building this for our own business, labels still weren't calling. Even though we were getting like tens of millions of views on this video, like our radioactive one with Lindsey Sterling got like, I think it has hundreds of millions of views now, but labels just were not calling. Because they were like, how does this actually work in terms of the recording industry making money? Like, we don't see anything charting on iTunes at the time. What happened was we had a song called Little Drummer Boy during Christmas time that we had released. And that, for some reason, reacted in a way where people wanted to buy the track, and it got to the top 10 of iTunes independently and stayed there for like 4 or 5 weeks. Wow. That's when labels say, I see how this can, okay. The thing though, a lot of labels go, oh, great, they're a Christmas band. We want to do that. Our label RCA was the only one that said, you guys are actually a pop group. Like, we see the plethora of stuff that you all do. You're mainly a pop group. Christmas is a way to get you guys into the door, into the mainstream, and hopefully chart and maybe have an album that does well so that we can knock that open and have you be an actual pop mainstream act. So that's why we went with them. They had a great marketing team, all that stuff. And then, I mean, honestly, we just had this one album that really did it for us. That's Christmas to Me. We put this album out, and Mary Did You Know is the kind of the lead single that just, it went bonkers. Like, we didn't expect that success, to where that year, That's Christmas to Me was the #4 highest charting album in the United States.
Holy crap.
And the ones that were above us was Taylor Swift 1989, Sam Smith's In the Lonely Hour, and Frozen. Those are the only 3 bigger albums than ours. I still to this day, when I think of that, I'm like, how?
This is a Christmas album you made? That's insane.
And it's insane because Christmas is only for literally like a month or 2. To know that we were able to get a platinum status then, compared to all these albums that had come out for.
These are legends, first of all.
100%.
And wow.
Yeah, dude, that's exactly what happened.
Even my assistant earlier today, she was like, "Oh, who's the interview we're doing today?" And I said your name and I said your band, and she was like, "I love them. I love their Christmas album."
Oh, really?
It's
Man,
that is exactly what I mean. And obviously, Christmas is my favorite time of the year, so I'm looking forward to your show in Oakland.
Yeah, are you coming?
What?
Let's go!
What?
Come on, dog.
What?
Look, you busy, you
Oh,
sportscasting,
no,
you
there.
got all these things.
I'm sorry, guys.
Look, you got a lot.
I'm sick today.
Okay, I didn't know. That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah,
Come through, bro.
I'm coming for
Yeah.
sure. And so, but a lot of greats have received no's.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know that it's possible to reach success without some failures, some setbacks. We said this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do though? How can you differentiate between a no that means fall back but come back again,
Right,
and a no that's like, all right, I gotta scrap this and I gotta start a whole new thing?
man, that is so good. Okay, so I'll talk about two different examples I'll talk about two different examples. The one with our old label who told us no. We believed in what we were doing so much, and we were so new to this that we said, you know what, let's at least keep going and see where we want to go. Like, let us make that decision if we're not good or if we're not meant to be here. Mm-hmm. Now, there are no's where I have scrapped things though. Like, for example, in the songwriting process, this is one where I've had to humble myself so many. I've written so many songs, dude. Like, for my own classical solo project, like I've written songs at this point, maybe more, and only a few of them I think will make it, because you have to go through so much stuff, and you have people who are wise A&R who have been in the business long enough to say, you know what, I think this song is really great, this one is just, this will cut it. And so I remember even in my A&R process for like the past 7 years as I've been making this stuff, I'll say it like this, 2020, there's a whole album that I made that I scrapped. Because when I spoke to my new management about it, they're like, look, this album, I know you like it, but like, to be honest, you maybe have one or two songs. Sonically, you have to go in a direction where people go, I have never heard anything like this. You're doing classical light here. Like, go in and do something that people go, I've never seen anything like that before. That's when I said, okay, I'm willing to scrap this because I need to find, have I digged deep enough? I have to dig deeper.
It's almost like they're challenging you to use your uniqueness. They're
Yes.
like, yo, like whatever it is that you bring to the table, really make that shine.
Completely. Like, how do you figure out everything that you do? And when you make that shine, everything you do is a one of one. When I beatbox on a record, make sure that's a one of one. If I'm going to play cello on it, play it in a way that nobody plays cello. Okay, that's my one of one. Okay, if I'm going to do a classical piece, how are you going to do this in a way where people go, I've never heard that before? Make that the one of one. And now take all these, if you will, one of oneness that's all you, put that together in a package. That's what they were trying to do this whole time. And only now do I appreciate them, because whenever I finally did, you were there at the Hollywood Bowl, I got to premiere an arrangement of Beethoven's Fifth.
Dude.
That was...
Dude.
I felt like after all the years of training, not just in my craft, but in understanding who am I uniquely in all these different parts, I finally got to bring all of that together in this and hopefully showcase myself in a way where people go, I haven't seen that before. I haven't seen that part before. Wow, he did that with that classical piece. And my prayer is that just like our band had done, I want to be able to do the same thing, because there's a frequency of love that you get to emit when you are working in all of your one of oneness that reaches somebody that needs to hear it from your specific frequency of love. That's the whole reason, man. Like, that's the whole point of this. And yeah, man,
what really, first of all, if you guys have not seen Pentatonix in concert,
come,
Lord have mercy.
We're coming this Christmas. Come see a show.
And you brought a conductor. There's a point in the show where, by the way, you guys are all different. Like, even the way everybody in the band dresses is different.
Completely.
And I freaking love it, because you came with all unique abilities, and you guys don't even need to match. Because the girl came in red, you came in all black, somebody came with a sparkly shirt, the other guy came in with a Letterman jacket. It's just everybody was different. But man, when y'all come together, it's magic. And
thank you.
Even the way that you showcase your individual stories, right? They bring out a couch to show how the band started. They show how you were introduced into the band, and then they give you a moment to tell your story. Right. You know, Nigerian parents, went to Yale, all the things, and then you tell that whole story, and then you introduce a conductor with it was just everything about it. And then you guys are playing and you guys are singing, and the conductor takes over the show and starts break dancing. I'm like, what's going on? I'm losing my mind, man. I was like, I didn't expect any of this. I didn't even know what an acapella band could do and the levels they could take me to.
Oh, man.
Because I was just like, okay, we just come here, we're going to sing a few songs and we're going to go home.
Right.
And you guys take me to all these emotions. You over here trying to make me cry. I'm like, man, what's going on, man? And you guys sing Hallelujah at the end. I'm like, by the way, Hallelujah is the song that was playing in the car after I was born.
Really?
And so my mom, every time the song comes on, she reminds me of that. After I was born, she was riding in the car with my dad back home. And that's the song that plays. So it takes me to a very, very, very deep place. So you guys are playing this. I'm watching my boy on stage. The band is killing it. Y'all sold out Hollywood Bowl. So everything about this experience for me, I'm just like, man, I'm in heaven.
Dog, that's crazy.
And so I brought a friend with me to the show. After the show, actually not after the show. Later or the next week, we go to a concert. Or I'm not going to say who it is because her response was, "This is not no Pentatonix." Oh, no! So it's funny, man, and it's really wow. Because the reason why I'm saying it this way, and obviously you're my guy, so I'm gonna support, but I really want people to hear it this way because it's not really just about like giving credit or giving praise. It's more like I'm so in awe of what you guys are doing because of the uniqueness of what you're doing. It's hard, it's not easy. All these different blocks to get into where you guys are getting to there are things that could have stopped you.
Completely.
And you could have tried to do something that other people are doing because you're like, okay, well, what we're doing is so different. Maybe we could try to copy somebody else so we can do what they're doing so we can chase their success.
Completely.
But you're like, no, we're going to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to make ourselves different. We're going to make ourselves even more different. That to me is really special because you're speaking to people and this crowd is diverse. There's grandmas there, there's kids there, there's couples, there's young people. Like we're there. So for me, I want you guys to keep going.
Thank you.
But man, dude, I'm so excited to know you and to know this story and to know your band. This is incredible, man, what you guys are doing.
Thank you so much.
Is it hard for people who are different to come together in a group? We are, because I played on a team.
Dog.
I know how hard it is. One of my teammates just punched somebody. You know what? We're not going to talk about that right now.
I saw.
We're not going to talk about that right now.
My wife showed me the DM. I was like, woo, that's crazy.
But that's part of being in a team.
Yeah.
Right? You go through rough patches. You go through hard. Sometimes you guys are not in sync. Talk to me about that part of being in a group.
It is one of the toughest things to be able to navigate. Like, let's just start from the beginning. When we met, I didn't know them.
Yeah,
I didn't know them at all.
And they already knew each other.
Exactly.
You were a whole new incoming person, so you're the only person that odd man out.
Literally. And now we're working together all the time, and I'm like, I don't know you guys. Like I know you're talented. I know you can sing, but I don't know who you are. I don't know your work ethic. I don't know your abilities outside of music. Like because we're trying to build an entrepreneurship. We're not just trying to sing, right? Music is an entrepreneurship. It's the music business, or it's the business of music. So there's so much that I think we went through. There were some, I will be honest, there were some times that were dark, as it would be when you're trying to build something. But the one thing that I think that we always kept in mind was that we're getting to do something that is so different and special that it would be wrong if any of our egos took away this special opportunity to make and present music out into the world like this. I don't think we ever let any of our egos get in the way when we're making music. Like honestly, I have to give my flowers to my bandmates, especially Scott, Matt. Like they gave me 10 minutes on stage to be able to tell my story and do this Beethoven's Fifth. And they were helping me think of they're like, oh, yo, what if you had a dancer? Like, our choreographer's like, yo, what if you had a dancer? Like, we can bring out Little Buck, who was the guy who was dancing. Like, to have, 10 cellos on stage. Like, it was a whole production. It was a whole production. But they're like, no, you should do this because it'll make the show, to be able to showcase yourself as beautiful, but also it'll help our whole show as a whole group. I got to give them. There was no ego, there was no nothing. And I was like, you guys have no idea. And I think that's how we always do stuff together. Like, we always want each other to shine. It's one of the coolest things that we all have projects outside of the band. And we go hard for our own projects, but we also go hard to support each other in our whole, Man, Scott has 30 different projects. I don't even know how he sleeps. I'm going to be honest. I have no idea. Matt's trying to do Broadway. Kirsty's trying to do Broadway. Mitch is about to do a show so soon for his Messer solo project. And I'm like, dude, this is so dope. We write with each other. We write for each other. Like, Scott's written for my solo project. Like, we really, we're not competing against each other. It's like 5 people. You have an apple, an orange, a pear, a grape, and a grapefruit. You can't compare any of these fruits when they're together. But together, you put them in a nice juice, and it's like a nice fruit smoothie that tastes so good. But we can all be the best fruit that we can be and taste as good as we can. So because we're not competing against each other, we're like, I will support the living daylights out of you. Like, be uniquely you, dog. Like, do that. And I will be there right behind you, like, dapping you up and doing whatever I need to do to make sure that your greatness shines. You deserve that. You deserve your flowers. Like, yeah, man, just we keep the ego to a minimum.
I also know that it's, for me, you know, trying to work to find teammates. I didn't, when I was doing my rehab, I became friends with Lindsey Vonn because she was a solo athlete.
Right, of course.
And we had knee surgery at the same place. The mindset of a solo athlete is way different from that of a team player.
Yeah.
Because I never really fully understood, because I can only look from my own lens in those situations until I understand better. And everything is on her. Getting the right PTs, getting the right training, she has to hire her team. I get appointed in a team as soon as I'm drafted. Right. As soon as I get to college. I already have a team of a trainer, I have a coach, I have matter of fact, in the NBA, there's more coaches than players now on the court. And it's this idea of having a team to support you. For you as a musician or as an artist, what does your team consist of? Who is supporting you along this journey?
Ooh, that is so good. And I will answer that question, but I guess I also have so many questions about that, because like, for you, you can't have like 4 Steph Currys. You can't have 4, every person has to play a different role, so that it's a cohesive team that, I mean, when you're on the court, everybody understands what they're doing. It's like it's an unspoken language. Like, I know if I'm gonna look at you, but I'm gonna make this little, and I know he's right there. Absolutely. Because I know I find that so amazing in sports. I find that so amazing in basketball, because the amount of time you have to train. I know it's like music. Like, I'll do something improv on the stage, and Matt just knows. He knows me. He's like, oh, I know where Kevin's about to go. I'm gonna go with him. Boom. Wow. Because we just spend so much time together, and there's a unspoken synergy that you have to have.
All my pick and rolls with Steph Curry and Draymond Green.
I'm sure.
Wow.
But yeah, dude. So it's not just us 5, right? I almost. People say that we're supposed to be the CEOs of our business. I almost call us like the chief creative officers of our business, because there's so many people that help us execute the day-to-day. I have to first and foremost give a shout out to Sarah Bucheski. She is our day-to-day manager. This girl works tirelessly to make sure that logistically everything works well for the band to be able to do what we do. And the reason I love her is because she doesn't just she's not taking care of a band. She's taking care of 5 individuals and their own solo projects to make sure that everything works cohesively and synergistically when we all come together and make sure we also do our thing. She has a lot of schedules to take care of. So that's just a blessing. I love her. We have our management that thinks about the trajectory when we make an album. How do we make new dents in the industry that we haven't done before? How do we make sure that all the different players that we line up are working cohesively, so we have one big rollout plan that makes sense for us, right? Our label, who helps us with marketing and getting our music to as many places as possible, right? We have obviously the lawyer. Hey, shout out to David. Love you, man. That. You my guy. Thank you so much. You have a business manager that handles the finances. And I will say this, I think there's always an interesting thing people don't know. Like, when you travel all around the world, like, people are like, why can't you just handle the finances yourself? Because there's so many things where you see business managers cheating on you and like doing all these things. But the thing about a business manager, especially when you're a touring artist, it's not just taking care of the royalties that come in from album sales. But when you're touring, especially like an artist like us, we tour all around the world. You have to pay taxes in every single country, every single state that you're playing in. So you need somebody.
Keep the books.
You need a quarterback who's taking care of that stuff. I'm not gonna do. I'm gonna go off stage and be like, okay, well, what's the books? Like, I gotta sleep. So I can wake up and do my me. You know what I mean? Like that's why. So
we're gonna get to delegation in a second too.
Oh, we should talk.
You can't scale. Actually, I had this conversation with my friend Nicole. And she was like, yes, you cannot grow to the level that you're supposed to if you don't delegate.
100%. Like that's why this is the team that we need to be able to do what we do, right? But this is just like on that side. On the creative side, we have creative directors. We have like a stage designer for our staging, right? Yeah. We have a whole team that helps us when we step on stage. We're a well-oiled machine ready to go and give people the concert that they deserve, that they paid their hard-earned money for. So yeah, man, it's a whole lot of people.
So I want to even go deeper on this team concept because what does it feel like to have people to kind of have your back? Has there been times when somebody goes down? It's kind of like I just mentioned a former teammate of mine. He just got in trouble, right? And now everybody's against him. I can't turn my teammate part of me off.
No, 100%.
So I go on TV and then people are interviewing me like, "What do you think? This is so crazy. He did this thing," and I said, "Listen. This is my guy. Yeah. I know who he is. Yeah. He must have really just been having a bad day because this is not him at all. Right. But he has already deposited so much in the bank account with me. Dude, he and I almost fought. Do you know how many times we fought in practice?
I'm sure.
But that creates a brotherhood that you can't break. Completely. And so for me, it's like, how badly this guy wants to be good for his team. Yeah. And so if this happens, for me as a brother looking at it, I'm like, something is not right.
100%.
So and I'm at bat for him. Right. For you in your career, you talked earlier about having a lot of failures. Yeah. What's it like to have a team there? And I'm talking about your team now, your bandmates. What's it like to have them being there to support you on times when you're not? Ooh. You know, maybe you're 100%.
Dog, it's real, and I appreciate what you said because let me start with what you said because what I love about that is that people are expecting you to say something negative about somebody you have literally fought sweat and blood and tears with. It's like, I know the person. You're here for a soundbite. You have to know that my loyalty to him runs deeper than a soundbite that I'm going to give you so that you can run into the tabloids. I'm going to see what's good with my teammate. I'm going to talk to him because I love him. And love is long suffering. Long is deep. Long is patient. Hey, man, what's up? You know I've been there with you for a long time, so I know you. What's going on? How's your family? I feel like people don't, man, especially when it comes to media, sometimes they don't want context. And you have context. So it's such a blessing that you can be there for him, be like, yo, I love you, man. I'm here regardless. Let them say whatever they want. Cute. Oh, that's cute. I'm here. That's what I feel like they have been for me, and I've gotten to be for them. Because there have been times where, like, woo, we didn't like each other. As it happens when you're working together.
Even with your siblings.
100%.
There's times with your siblings you don't like each other.
100%. Yeah. But, like, we always give ourselves one grace and just try to understand context. We'll ask, like, hey, this happened this week. You know, it was tough to work. Is there something going on? Like, how are you? We don't go into like, man, how are you? Start there. Because that's what they've done for me. Like, oh, bro, it was a little hard to work with you this week. Like, are you good? Like, what's going on? And then you hear the deeper stories and be like, oh, that's good to hear that. Because from our standpoint, can I tell you what it looked like from our standpoint? And then there's understanding. I feel like so many times when you don't lead with empathy and understanding, dude, it is what it is. If you don't lead with that, one, they don't know that you care about them, and that when you ask certain pointed questions, you're actually coming from a place of love because you're trying to directly get to the matter and the issue from a standpoint of we want the whole team to be good, and if you're not healthy, we're not healthy. So I really think that when it comes to this, it's just empathy, understanding, love for your brother and your fellow teammate, for your fellow musician. and sister, because Kirsty's that's my girl.
Yes.
But yeah,
teammates are really important. And so you also have a teammate that you have for life now.
Yay!
Wifey. Let's talk about wifey, and let's talk about
baby girl. I love you. Thank you for marrying me when you didn't have to, Father God.
I started seeing pictures of you guys. You see your wife in the Nigerian, the gilling, all the things. Exactly. Oh my God.
Yes.
Y'all looked amazing, man.
Thank you, man.
What is it like in a mixed, we started talking about it off camera before, but in a mixed cultural household?
For sure.
Where you have somebody who, I'm assuming she's white, but maybe you could tell me, and you're also Nigerian background with Caribbean. What is that mixed household like, and how do you figure out how to mix a household like that?
Bro, it's something she and I talk about so often, because one of the things we want to do in our household is make sure no part of us is demonized. We want our children to see the beauty that is fully encapsulated in who they are. Their Italian side, their Jewish side, their Caribbean side, their Nigerian side. Like, we talk about how we want them to get pasta the same day that they get like egusi soup.
Wow.
Like, why not? Like, they're a melting pot.
The only problem I have with that, that's a big stomach, right?
No, it might not taste the best. It might not taste the best.
Pasta and egusi soup all the same day. Lord have mercy.
No, that might not taste the best. But
you have some football players, that's for sure.
They about to. But you understand the analogy is just of like, we want them to love every single part of them, their culture, their heritage, understand the context that they live in. Really understand that. Now, how can they, with everything that's inside of them, be an agent for change? That is the thing that we think about so much. Now, to me and my wife, when we got together, the most beautiful thing, my parents said, I don't care. Truly, they said, I don't care what the woman looks like. Does she love you? And if she loves you full and free, that is our daughter. Doesn't matter what for us, if that's the case. So I remember, and I'll never forget this, when we were dating, there was a day when we were hanging out and she goes, yo, if anytime you want to call me your girlfriend, you can call me that. And I didn't say anything. And she's like, what I said, right? I said, look, for me and my family, they won't allow me to call you girlfriend unless they meet you. This is just kind of what it is culturally, because the thing is, you're not marrying, you're not marrying a person, you're marrying a family.
I'm so happy you said this on the podcast, because now let's just say that this is good.
This is the truth.
This on video.
Oh, you got it on, hold on, I want to fix it.
Listen, you cannot be a girlfriend until you meet the family.
It is what it is.
Yes.
Just in our culture.
Explain the point of that.
Yeah, because look, whenever the girlfriend, the boyfriend finally be a member of the family, they treat you literally like their own child, like their own children. So now, if there's an issue in the family, she has every single right to go to my parents and be like, hey, my husband's doing A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and they're like, we're gonna talk to him because you are our child now. Like, you're not, right? What is the phrase that we always say? How is our wife?
Our wife.
Our wife.
Our wife.
Our wife. How is our wife? It's not it's she is part of the full family. So it's actually, there's a protection there for her that's really, really beautiful. So like, if they see something like, I don't know if she's gonna be able to mesh with the whole family, yeah, then you have to talk about that. Obviously you make your decision, but I think there is proverbial wisdom in that is really smart. And you see a lot of weddings outside of the US, immigrant weddings, and these people stay together for long periods of time because I think they have all this mentality. You're marrying a full family. And the same thing with me, like after I knew that my parents loved her, they said, yeah, I mean, it was practically a pre-engagement. I met her I called her dad. I want to get to know you. Our parents met, and it's so, I don't think I can say this on the podcast. It doesn't matter. Regardless, they met, and they just loved each other. And my parents spent real time with her parents. Like real time.
Okay, by the way, this is how you know it's divine.
Hey mama.
My mom is calling right now. Wait. Hey mom. I'm good. So don't say anything crazy because we are on the podcast right now. I'm talking to my Nigerian brother, Kevin Olusola. And he's a singer here in LA. He's an artist. I'm not gonna say he's a singer, but I'm talking about mom, so that's the way I gotta explain it. Yeah. But we're talking about our parents, and as soon as I started talking about our parents, you called me. So that's why I said this is the first time I've ever answered a phone call on my podcast. So I just wanted to know that we are thinking about you right now.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much. Brother, how now?
I am well. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So.
From you.
As well, you too. Thank you so much.
I'll call you after I'm done. Hi, Mama.
These are real moments.
Man, that's insane. I've never heard that happen before. But this actually, so me and my mom have this special connection. Every time almost now that I call her, she's like, man, I was just thinking about you.
Wow.
And when she calls me, I'm like, Mom, I literally was just talking about you. So I'm happy that y'all see it on video that actually happens.
Exactly.
And, what about your kids or your kid, rather? Yeah. Your daughter.
Kaya,
you just had a daughter. She was at the concert.
Yes, she was.
And you had her last year in April. I want to know how fatherhood has changed you.
Boy, this is such a good question. I'm gonna tell you a few things. First thing is, I'm gonna start. This is probably not the way people are gonna think I should start, but I'm gonna start here. When you don't have kids, I didn't realize how selfish I was with my time. There. Because in this music industry, my whole focus was making sure the band was good, promoting our music, all that kind of stuff. When you now have a child, your world is not about you. It is about that child, because she didn't ask to be in this world. She deserves a loving home where she knows her parents are present with her. I realized, oh man, when we had her, my mind was so focused on everything I was doing. And my wife was like, look, you know that you have a child, and I understand that she may not completely remember all these times, but she deserves your full attention. I remember it was like 4 or 5 months into it, she goes, she knows when you're gone and she knows when you're not fully present. I remember the first month especially, there was the first month of having her, hard, all that kind of stuff, right? And I was also trying to work at the same time, and I wasn't doing it all well. And I have a high performance coach that kind of helps me with mindset. I'm sure the sports performance coaches, you guys are the same thing, right? Like, speaking to my high performance coach, because I'd made so much progress in that year, and I feel like I was just revolving backwards. And he said, Kevin, I want you to hear this clearly. This is what happens when you have kids, one, and you're beating yourself up over something that is a new experience. This is a crazy experience. The first word is crazy. Now, the second word that you decide to put next to that crazy, that's the way you're going to define this experience. You can say crazy amazing, crazy ridiculously terrible, crazy horrible. You get to define the experience. What do you want it to be? And I said, crazy joy. And from that standpoint, I said, well, what do I have to do now to make sure this is a joyous experience, even if I'm sleep deprived, all that stuff.
You create the experience. Wow, keep going.
I started journaling all the time. Like, and for me, sometimes when I want to be present, journaling is so good, because now I'm like paying attention, like what's her fingers like? What's her smile like? And I get to write these things down, and it keeps me focused on who she is. So I think, one, I learned to be less selfish. I learned to really give my time. It taught me the value of rest. Like, in my 20s, man, I'm out here trying to make something of myself. Right? Now that I have a child, like, the times for rest that I was like, I didn't need, I want, because I want to show my child a healthy way of living. That it's okay to take time for yourself. Yeah. And when I'm taking time away, I'm focused on you and you alone. That my wife and I are here for every single need that you have to help you grow into a mature adult that will be strong in the world. So those are some of the things that I've learned that fatherhood has changed me. I'll say one more thing. We went on vacation early this year 2022 in Hawaii. And my wife and I were having some conversations that were tough about what does it mean for this upcoming year and thinking about touring and how does all this work. And we had a pastor that was randomly there, and he was talking to us about just parenthood. And one thing he said to me that was so special, I never thought about this. He goes, if you don't keep your time sacred, nobody else will. And that hit me like some bricks.
If you don't keep your time sacred, nobody else will.
100%. I realized in that moment, I was still allowing everything else to dictate my time, and I didn't allow myself to dictate the time that I needed so that I could be full and complete, and that everybody therefore gets my overflow. I felt very, how do you say this?
I already know where you're going with this.
I felt like I wasn't allowed to do that. Like, it isn't like, oh, you need me. I have to be there. I have to be there. It's like, wait a second. What fills you up? As he said, like, what fills you up so that when you're around people, you're not leading from a space of lack. You're leading from a space of overflow.
Did you come here to preach to me today?
No, bro, I did not mean to. I'm preaching to me.
Did somebody tell you what I'm dealing with?
Dog, I'm literally preaching to me. To, like, if it's helpful, take it, dog. Like, I didn't realize that. So now I sent an email to my band immediately after, and I said, look, I love you guys. My management team, I love y'all. But now that I have a child, I have to do things differently. And so my mornings are for me. You're not going to get me until afternoon, because I need to spend time with my child. My wife needs to go to Pilates and just feel like a human. And I need to make music that really fills me up first. So now when I come in the afternoon, I am fully present because I feel full. They all understood. They said, hey, we don't have kids. And it was nice because I think it helped set a precedent for, like, you know, our bandmate Kersey, she now has a child. She's like, I now know I can ask for that, especially as a mother. She needs all the time. Yeah. Like, I'm very blessed.
As a new mom too.
As a new mom, yeah. Her child's 5 months. Like, she's so, I'm just so proud of her. And she's an incredible mom. Woo, she's fierce. I'm so proud of that woman. But yeah, man, like, you have to make sure that time is sacred to you so that the right priorities, man, in Western culture, we think that work is the priority. It's like, man, no, like, being still, loving yourself, like loving your family, that is truly the priority. And then everything else is important. I'm not trying to say, like, we have to feed ourselves and everything, but make sure it's in the right prioritization.
I saw your schedule.
My schedule? For touring.
Your schedule, daily schedule.
Oh, you saw that.
When you were trying to tell me, like, when we could book our time to sit down and talk. And so you start showing me, it's 8 to 8:30, 8:30 to 9, 9 to 9. I'm like, this dude's schedule is fully booked. But then it's also intentional because of what you just explained. You're like, yo, I have to make sure that I do these things and I make sure that my time is so meticulously, like, really, you created your schedule this way so that you can be full.
Absolutely.
And you can do this for people. Who's helping you with this? How did you get to the point where you figured this out?
Man, it really is me. And let me tell you the reason I did this. When I went to boarding school, I went to Phillips Academy, Andover. Now, I'm coming from a Kentucky public high school to literally was rated the top private high school in America. They're sending third of our class to Ivy League schools, like 20 plus to Harvard, 20 plus to Yale, 20 plus to Stanford, constantly. I come in for my junior year of high school. I'm telling you, I'm getting wrecked. I'll never forget my English teacher, and all this has a point. She read my first essay. She goes, it's like nobody taught you how grammar works. You really need to learn how to write. Like, she also said, it's almost as if somebody told you using very big words means you're smart. No, it's putting sentences together in a cohesive manner that compels the reader that makes great writing. But let's just start with that basics. There was so much I didn't know. And my first semester, bro, 100%.
Everybody's missing this game right now. He's putting you on. All right, bro, keep going.
I did not know what I was doing that first trimester at Andover, and I did poorly. So I go to Academic Support Center. They do some tests, and they say, it's not because you're not intelligent. You're clearly very smart. But from what we're looking at on these tests, you have no idea how to manage your time. None. And they explained it to me saying, time can be your best friend or your worst enemy if you don't know how to use it. And that changed my life, like truly changed my life. And I realized I had to be the architect of my time and figure out what the priorities are. So the way I would do it, and I do it even today, especially like with a big month, I'll say, okay, what are my main goals for this month? What are the things that I have to do? And what are the things that I really need to get done? Once I figure that out, then I set it week by week. But I don't do it just week by week from this is what I have to do. But once again, because of my high performance coaching, what do I want to feel? And how do I emotionally connect to this hard week? Man, I get to do something that hasn't been done before. Oh my goodness, Kevin, you get to be an exuberant leader that roars for the people that maybe are not spoken of in this classical world. When I say focus on that in the beginning of the week and journal about that, and I emotionally connect to that, it makes me excited for being able to attack this upcoming week. And then from that standpoint, I make my schedule.
That's beautiful.
I've learned so much about emotional connection to things rather than just doing it. Because if you're emotionally connected, then there's a grit. I'm sure basketball, dog. Look, you could just win a championship, but it's like, what's the feeling you want to have when you win that championship? I'm sure your sports performance coaches have those same things. He's like, what do you want to feel when you're on the court? Okay, I feel the nervousness. I feel that, but what do you want to feel? Feel like this is the force. This is what I think about, especially when I go on stage. Like, when I feel those nerves, I say, oh, I know the force is now with me. Because now I get to take that force. If I don't use it well, then the force overtakes me, like the Jedi Knights. But if I use it well, now I know how to control it to attack back. So that's the feeling I have when I have those nerves. It's like, no, this is the force. I'm ready to go. So anyway, you know this stuff.
I'm sorry. So you still get nerves.
Dog, what?
How did that? Man.
Brother. What? Yes. Oh, yes.
It took me a long time in playing basketball to realize that everybody gets nerves.
Yeah.
And everybody? I used to think that everybody gets nerves.
I don't know. There's some people where I look.
Everybody.
That's actually good to know, because when I think about AI, I go, he's got no nerves. He's like, I'm going to dunk on it. I don't care who you are.
But I don't mean like that's actually what gives you nerve. Think about like Batman, the Dark Knight, when he was trying to jump out. And he's like, no, you have no fear. That's why you can't. Like, the nerves give you the extra bounce. They give you the extra alertness when you learn how to use it, like you said about the force. Because me and my brother can sit here all day and talk the whole time.
I'm sorry.
I know the producer has to leave soon.
I'm sorry.
I got two questions that I need to know.
Yeah.
I need to know, because you made a sentence earlier that I was going to catch it, but you had a whole sentence of stuff from one night that I was like, dog, are you hearing what you're saying? We're performing with Stevie Wonder.
Oh, yeah.
We're handing an award to Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran, yes, for Song of the Year. Thinking Out Loud.
Our album was number 4 next to.
Oh, yeah, Sam Smith. Sam
Smith.
Frozen, yeah.
I'm hearing amazing things about this journey so far. Mm-hmm. I want to hear about your favorites. What were your favorite? What is your favorite part of this journey so far? Something that has happened, and don't say your daughter, because that's a cheat code. Or marriage. No. I'm talking about your career.
Like an actual moment.
Something that has happened. It doesn't have to be a moment. It could be a thing that you guys have gotten. It could be somebody you got to meet or perform with.
That's a really
or somewhere you got to perform.
I would no because there are so many that come to mind. I'll say the first one was our Grammy for Daft Punk. That was the very first Grammy we won.
That actually is my favorite.
Really?
Actually, between that or the medley, the 90s.
Which one? 90s medley? Oh man, thank you. Thank you, man. Yeah. No, I think Daft Punk was so interesting because like you said, as teammates you fight, and we fought over this one a lot. Like over the arrangement, over how it should go. Like one of our band members who was previously with us, Avi, he was very adamant that he's like, this intro doesn't sound good, guys. This sounds like a high school arrangement. We're a professional acapella group. And we fought and we're like, no, it sounds good. Like we had many, many arguments over that one. Not only that, we did that video for under $2,000 in my apartment with Avi. I mean, we were picking up stuff on the way. Like we did this so cheaply. So the fact that this DIY video and DIY almost arrangement could win us a Grammy, I still get blown away by that. And it's still crazy to me. And you know what? I will say recently, to have my daughter see me perform at the Hollywood Bowl, there is nothing that can touch that. I hope that is etched in the back of her mind, even if it's like a feeling and not a full memory. Because my hope is that when I'm performing, like on that stage, whenever I saw her, I was like, I'm not performing for anybody else but her.
Yeah, that was really special.
You know, I always have this vision in my head that, you know, I'm in my late 40s and my kids are around me before I go on stage, all hugging me and saying, Dad, you got this. You've done this so many times. You know, we love you. Like you've got, and that they're singing my songs. They're jumping up and down. Now they could be clowning me actually. You know, they'd be like, Dad, nobody sings this way. They could be, but when I think about that, that's what keeps me emotionally connected to why I do what I do. Because now it's not about me. It's hopefully the hard work and the discipline and everything that I've done that they get to see that shows them that they can do whatever they want to do to be extraordinary and uncommon. So when I think about that, like that night at the Hollywood Bowl was the catalyst for a bigger dream that I have for my family.
How many kids?
13.
The Nigerian man is here.
Lee's gonna hear that and be like, you better get out my house. Stay away, don't you dare, no. You ain't touching me. Don't you dare, don't get close to me.
Dog, this has been incredible. I still have, like, I feel like we got to do a part 2 at some point.
I'm so down.
Especially after this world tour, because I want to hear about everything. What are you looking forward to?
Oh, man. I just miss being on the road and seeing our fans again. And, like, you know, something I'm really excited about because my family's with me on this tour. So to finally do this with my kids, another thing that I emotionally connect to, like my kids are going to be able to see the world with me. They're going to be able to see different parts of the country. And like one of the things that my wife and I love to do, we want to take them to different colleges and universities because that's just fun for us. She was a college counseling consultant for a long time. So yeah, I'm excited for that, man. I'm excited to do this with my family, like, truly like with my best friends. Like that's what Lee is to me, and I hope, you know, as my daughter grows up and she and I get to be closer, she sees me as a good friend, not just her father, but a friend.
Wow. Every podcast with the same question.
Yeah.
Which is my favorite question.
Mm-hmm.
You right now, with everything that you've seen, with your wife and your daughter and your bandmates and the whole journey you've experienced so far.
Yeah.
If you could talk to young Kevin.
Ooh.
And honestly, you could just talk to him. You could give him advice, or you could just sit with him.
Man, that's a good question. There's more inside of you than you could ever know. I know at this very moment, you are scared out of your mind because you don't know how this is going to work. I know that this is a path that doesn't seem sure, where medicine seems so sure. Trust God fully, because He has every single part of this path mapped out for you. And you're going to see parts of you that you didn't even realize was inside of you if you trust God in the path. Don't be anxious, because there's a lot of anxiety-ridden moments. Remember who sent you on this path for love and to share love. Path, you're going to grow into somebody that you're going to be very proud of. That's what I would tell him.
Man. The pastor himself. Dude, you are incredible. Whatever I thought this podcast was gonna be, it has blown it out of the water. I am so grateful for this conversation because
Same.
I feel like almost every answer to everything we've talked about so far has been speaking to me, myself, the artist in me, the person who is also rebuilding the beast as well.
Amen.
So your story is incredible. Man, I'm so proud to keep following your journey, following the band. I'm the newest, biggest, tallest groupie y'all have right now. So,
You're definitely the tallest groupie. That's definitely the truth.
Man, it's really incredible, man. If you guys haven't listened, you guys have to listen. Go to the concerts. Please go check it out. I promise you will not be disappointed. But man, thank you for coming to
Thank you,
Rebuild the
dog.
Beast.
Thank you so
much. You are
much.
a beast for
Thank
sure,
you, man.
dog.
A beast is you are the beast. That's why I'm excited to even be on this podcast, man. Thank you so much for having me. This is a pleasure and a joy, and you that guy.
We did it, man.
We did it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right before I move out of LA, too. I appreciate you.
Of course.
Bobby!
Yo, sorry about that.
Oh, man. Bobby went home. He's like,
He's like, you're going to take it off. Dude, thank you so much for having me. This was such a pleasure. Like, I really, like...
For me,
thank you so much.
Even just listening to your story, I'm like, it's crazy how similar our journeys are.
Amen. Yeah. Everything you told me from going from Nigeria literally to basketball and not having any, like, truly not having any experience, dude, that is still one of the craziest stories, because how do you get to the NBA doing that? It's like, it's impossible.
Like you said, like God already put the steps in front of me, because so many times I wanted to quit. So many times I wanted to stop. Like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
You know, at the time I wasn't even playing in college. I'm putting all this effort in. I'm not playing well when I do play. Like, I don't really want to do this no more.
Right.
I remember one of the coaches came to me. He was like, bro, you're going to make a lot of money playing this game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like where you are, Instagram versus reality, right? Like where you are, and he's talking about this thing over here, but I'm looking where I am right now. What are you talking about? Bobby, we're done.
You done?
Yeah. Sorry.
Don't forget to hit subscribe, like, share it with a friend, all the things. Talk to you guys soon.